Hi, this is Allison at Updweller. If you're trying to book a house cleaner, you'll usually end up choosing between two very different types of services. Platforms like Homeaglow, which run on a subscription or membership model, and traditional companies like the Cleaning Authority. And even though they'll both get your house clean, how they actually work is completely different from one another. If you're looking for a house cleaner right now and you're trying to compare your options, I'm going to break down how Homeaglow and the Cleaning Authority work, and I'll also talk about their pricing, the cleaner consistency, how the experience actually feels, all of the pros and cons to consider with each, and of course, who I ultimately recommend. The simplest way to compare the two really comes down to how they operate. Through Homeaglow, you're working with an individual cleaner, and the booking is app-based and pricing is lower with the Forever Clean membership through Homeaglow. Whereas the Cleaning Authority, this is more of a franchise team operation and a very structured cleaning system. I think the easiest way to compare their positioning really, one is more like hiring a specific person, and that's Homeaglow. The other is more like hiring a company with a really detailed process, and that is the Cleaning Authority. Right now, I want to talk about what really makes each service unique so you have a better understanding of how they work and what they offer. With Homeaglow, you can either be matched with or choose an individual cleaner. I would call it a curated marketplace of individual cleaners, and it's app-based with flexible booking, and the booking can be handled online and instantly. And it's really easy when you just want to book somebody to come in and take care of routine cleanings. There is a Forever Clean membership at Homeaglow, but that unlocks much lower hourly rates, at least 50% off, if not higher, compared to traditional cleaning services. So the savings over time, especially for repeat cleanings, and we'll talk about pricing in greater detail later on. Just right out the gate, Homeaglow operates on a subscription model that saves you a lot of money over time. And you're working with the same cleaner for each session, if you want to. The Cleaning Authority operates on a franchise model, and that includes trained cleaning teams that come in as a group and take care of your home. And there's a very standardized system across all of the locations. This is more of a franchise operation, so there's a lot more standardization as far as the way that they do what they do and how. They use a structured approach called detail clean rotation system. And what this means is that they divide your home into zones. So you've got your kitchen, your bathrooms, your living areas, bedrooms, and then they rotate which one gets deep cleaned during each visit. So every visit with the Cleaning Authority includes a general cleaning, all of the general housework stuff, plus one area that gets extra attention during that visit. And again, that's a team that comes in and works together to get everything done. Whereas Homeaglow is a little more personalized and flexible because you're dealing with just one individual cleaner versus an entire team. Which brings us to the consistency. So both Homeaglow and the Cleaning Authority offer consistency, but a very type of consistency. With Homeaglow, you can get the same cleaner every time if you want to. You have the option to see the same cleaner for each session, or you can try different ones. Really, that's entirely up to you. Personally, when I found my preferred cleaner, I've just stayed with them because they come in, they know my house, it's very familiar to them, and there's just a lot of consistency where that's concerned. And that said, the quality can depend based on the individual that you book. Now, that can improve over time with repeat bookings, but also it comes down to communication. I think if you're hiring any single individual to come and do anything in your home, Communicating with them and sort of, laying out what you need and setting those expectations really helps to ensure the consistency, at least as far as the work is concerned. Now, with the cleaning authority, teams are trained and they follow the same system, no matter what house they're in or what city they're operating in. And the consistency really comes from the process, not the person. The end result can be really predictable across visits, but you're not necessarily going to get the same team in every single time. You might, but you might not. So with Homeaglow, the consistency comes from the relationship that you build with your cleaner. With the cleaning authority, it really comes from the system. The pricing between Homeaglow and the cleaning authority are completely different. With Homeaglow, a lot of times you'll see a really low introductory offer, like $19 for the first clean, and that ties directly into the membership model. So when you book through Homeaglow and you get that really low cost initial clean, you're automatically enrolled in the Forever Clean membership, which is an ongoing monthly membership that saves you a lot of money over time because the hourly booking rate is a lot lower with the membership. So the pricing can feel a little confusing up front, especially if you're not familiar with a membership or subscription model for this kind of a thing. But over time, you save a lot because the hourly rate through Homeaglow is a lot lower with the membership fee. Now, the actual rates will vary based on your area and the cleaner, but just as a ballpark, as far as what I pay, my cleaning is $20 an hour. So each session that I have is 4 hours long. I have my cleaner come in twice a month. And so the cleaning itself costs $160 a month. Sorry, math is not my strong suit. So, mental math on the fly, it's a challenge for me. But my cleanings are $160 a month plus the $59 a month membership fee for Forever Clean. That totals about $219 a month, not counting tips that I give to my cleaner. Now, with the cleaning authority, the pricing is fully customized based on your home size, the number of rooms, the layout, and it's typically priced per visit, not at an hourly rate. The cleaning authority does tend to be more expensive overall, but it is predictable. The rates, depending on the home size and your area, this is where really fluctuates a lot. It can be anywhere from $100 to $400 a session, depending on the home size. And the cleaning authority requires an estimate before booking. So there is a little more of a process involved as far as booking the cleaning authority. You can get a general estimate online, you can request one, but the actual estimate comes from an in-home visit where they look at the place and they figure out how much it's actually going to cost per session, and then you can book. I would say Homeaglow is less expensive, especially over the long term. The cleaning authority is generally going to cost a bit more, if not quite a bit more. As far as how the experience feels between Homeaglow and the cleaning authority, this is one of the biggest differences. So with Homeaglow, it feels a lot more like you're booking a freelancer because you are. Everybody that's listed in the curated marketplace at Homeaglow, they're working independently. Now, they have been background checked. That is one of the requirements at Homeaglow. All of the cleaners have to pass a background check. So, any individual that's coming into your home to clean has had that done. And you get more control over who cleans your home because, again, you can select your cleaner, you can choose to stay with them, so the same person can come and do your cleaning every time you have one booked. And there's a lot of flexibility, especially if you need cleaning within the next couple of days, and in some cases the same day. Depending on availability, that is an option. The cleaning authority, on the other hand, feels a lot more like a traditional professional cleaning service company because it is. They are franchised, so everything is really standardized, but it's a lot less personal. I think the cleaning authority is really well suited for routine maintenance over time when you don't necessarily, I don't want to say when you don't want to know your cleaners, but when you don't want to have that kind of a personal relationship. I think Homeaglow is more about who cleans your home. The cleaning authority is more about how your home gets cleaned. Like if I had to sum that up, that's how I would put it. From my own personal experience, and especially as somebody who used to clean homes on my own many years ago, I personally like the relationship building with my cleaner, just because they know my house, they know me, they know my vibe, I know theirs. Having that sort of familiarity, it's not like we're besties or anything, but I find it comforting working with the same person for each booking, just because we know each other. I know their work. They know my house. They can build a flow and, go through room by room to get everything done. And it just feels, I don't want to say more casual, but in a way, maybe that is how I would put it. It's more of a casual, friendly relationship than something that is super professional, I guess. And for me, that's something that I prefer. Now, there are pros and cons to consider with Homeaglow and the cleaning authority, and I'll start with Homeaglow. So some of the biggest pros are the lower cost, especially the per hour rate. Over time, and especially when you're having cleanings done every week or every 2 weeks or even monthly, the cost is lower per session. I like that once you find a cleaner whose work you like, you can book them every single time if you want to. So you always know who is coming into your house, and there's just a lot of consistency in that regard. The booking is really flexible on Homeaglow, and it's quick because it's all done online. So when you go to book a cleaning, you're not waiting around to get quotes or estimates. You can just sort of get your booking set up, and that's just one thing that's off of your plate in a matter of minutes. That said, the cleaning itself is less standardized because, again, everybody that's working through Homeaglow, they're individual cleaners. So it's not going to be as standardized as the cleaning authority is. And the overall quality can vary based on the actual cleaner. But again, with anybody that's coming into your home to do anything, I find it important to explain what you want to have done, how you want it done, if you have preferences, and just, opening up those lines of communication makes all the difference. Finally, there can be a little confusion over the pricing and the membership, especially when you see the ads for the low introductory clean. Yes, it really is that low, but that's tied into the Forever Clean membership. So once you understand how that subscription model works, especially when you're booking through Homeaglow over time, it makes a lot more sense, and the savings are definitely significant. Now, with the cleaning authority, some of the biggest pros of the cleaning authority are the highly consistent system that they use, because the cleaning authority is a franchised model. So all of the teams are trained. They follow a very specific protocol and methodology. So the final results are very predictable. And again, they have the detailed cleaning of one particular area every single time they come. So they're doing all of the general cleaning, and then each visit they tack on deep cleaning of one specific area in rotation. And that can be a great option when that's something that you really want to have. That said, the cleaning comes at a much higher cost, and it's not an hourly rate so much as a per session rate. And it does require an estimate, and that includes an in-home estimate. You can get a ballpark estimate online, but the actual cleaning cost comes from the in-home estimate. So it can take a little longer to book just because there are extra hoops that you have to jump through to get things scheduled. And there is less flexibility with the cleaning authority as far as the cleaners who are actually coming to do the work, because they arrive in teams. They might be the same people, and then they might not. So that's another thing to consider if that's important to you, especially if you want to know who is working in your house from session to session. I think that if you're trying to maintain your home long term and you don't really want to have to manage the process at all, the cleaning authority might be a really good option. For myself, because I care more about the cost and the flexibility and finding one individual cleaner that I can stick with, Homeaglow is the better choice, just because there's a lot more consistency in who's coming into my house. We've had the opportunity to build a relationship with one another, and it's a working relationship. We're not like going out for drinks on a Friday or anything, but there's a lot of familiarity as far as them knowing me knowing them. And when they come into my house, I can just go into my office to work. I don't have to worry about what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and there's been a relationship built up over time, and that's something that, at least for me, is really important. And to the money that I'm saving through the membership with Homeaglow and the lower hourly rates that I'm paying my cleaner, I'm able to tip them really well, which, is not a requirement, but having been on the other side of that relationship years ago, tipping is always appreciated. It's just a thanks for doing such a great job kind of a thing. I'm able to tip them better because I'm saving so much on the hourly rate overall through Homeaglow. And that's another thing that's important to me too. The best fit, of course, is really going to come down to what your priorities are. And hopefully this comparison has gotten you closer to making a decision. If you want more honest comparisons like this one, don't forget to subscribe so you can stay on top of what we're reviewing next. If you want more comparisons like this one, don't forget to subscribe so you can stay on top of what we're checking out next. And if you want more honest comparisons and breakdowns like this one, don't forget to subscribe so you can stay on top of what we're trying next.